Welcome to Community Cocktails with Kimberly, hosted by Kimberly Woodard, a realtor for nearly 20 years with Ebby Halliday Realtors. Join her every first and third Wednesday of the month as she meets with the top community influencers to help you get to know the area you want to call home. Don't just love your home, love your community. And now, your host, Kimberly Woodard.
Hi viewers, I am so excited about this episode of Community Cocktails with Kimberly. I have a special guest here, and he has just been elected Mayor of Plano, John Muns. Yay!
Thank you, Kimberly.
I'm so excited, and of course, I'm very excited that you are now our new mayor. You are a native Planoite, and we love that about you. That you bring so much history to Plano.
Well, thanks. I have been here a long time, and a lot of times you worry whether somebody might think, well, you've been here too long. You don't keep up with things.
Right.
But I do know historically how Plano got to where it is today, and it's a fabulous story. And so I hope to just continue it.
Well, and I love it. And you're a second generation mayor.
I am.
So how was Dad and that the day of the polls numbers came in and you were deemed as the mayor? What did he say to you?
He was so proud. He was such a great mayor back in the 90s.
Right.
And, it was a different time then.
Right.
We were growing a lot like you would think Frisco or Prosper, places like that. So it was a different dynamic. And today we're really almost full in regard to available land. But just the idea of being the mayor of such a great city like Plano and knowing that my dad was years ago and that I am now is really humbling, but I'm very honored.
Oh, and I love, again, with being from Plano and, myself, I'm from Plano. We're both Plano Wildcats, go Wildcats.
Yeah, that's right.
But, even though we are so big, I feel like it still has a small town aspect.
It really does. And again, I mean, I can remember when I even got back from college and my wife and I made a home there. It was still the thing to do, to go to Dallas, to eat at restaurants and things like that. And yet today, Plano is really self-contained city. Mm-hmm. And there's nothing in Plano, or there's nothing outside of Plano that you need to go and get. I mean, everything is within reach of whatever you need, shopping, business, whatever it is, education. But we still want to try to make this a community where we really are together and we communicate and we're transparent. So I think that's a real challenge when you have a city as large as Plano, which is around 300,000 people.
Wow.
You still want it to be that community that you remembered.
Yeah.
And so I think that's a challenge that we're going to really work hard on and be very communicative to our residents about listening to what they want and need, to the amenities that they want and the issues that they are talking to us about, so that we can maybe come up with solutions together.
No, I mean, it's amazing. People, of course, real estate, I get calls all the time, and Plano is such a landmark nationwide. So people do. And I remember when I was younger traveling, I would always say, I'm from Dallas. And now when I go away, I'm like, I'm from Plano, and everyone knows where, on the map that, where it is. But they don't realize how big we are, the city itself. I mean, we go west of the tollway and east of 75. And
Plano's the 9th largest city in Texas.
Wow.
Yeah. So we're considered, in the top 10 big cities of Texas. And it's really hard to believe, but it's true.
I mean, and just remembering, as it's growing, and you remember this, even Dallas, I remember the tollway. I'm really aging myself. So when it went up at Killer Springs, it was like a roller coaster. You going up the hill and then you're on the tollway.
Then it went back to a 2-lane road until you got to Plano. It was a lot of farmland back then, and now it's grown. It's, we have big developments like Legacy West,
Right.
and Collin Creek Mall is coming online. That's going to be completely transformative.
Oh.
And it's really awesome. But at the same time, it's necessary to, make people want to come to Plano because it's relevant.
Right.
Oh
yeah, and it's such a great center point because you can get to the airport depending on traffic 20, maybe traffic 30 minutes, depending on where you are in Plano. I mean, if you live on the east side of 75, it's probably going to be more 30. But I mean, we're just centrally located.
We really are. And I think that's the reason why some of the big corporations have, that's one of many,
Right.
have decided to come to Plano because we're a big business center. And obviously the amenities that we were talking about earlier and the education that's so good in Plano.
Yep.
And so all of those factors, I think, have been a real draw for Plano for companies like Toyota,
Yep.
and Liberty Mutual, and Chase and others. So it's a real opportunity for us here in Plano.
It definitely is. So now that you're elected, what would you like to see over this 4 years, your legacy?
Well, I really want to keep Plano. I don't want to change Plano. And if anybody thinks that, I certainly don't. It's a great place. We want to maintain that quality that we all know and love.
Right.
Plano is, a lot of our infrastructure needs repairing and replacing.
Right.
And we want to revitalize some of the areas to make, like I said, make it relevant. I mean, we have all these accolades about the best place to live and
Right.
safest city and great education and all these things. So we want to continue to make sure those things are at least better than they are today. And I think that's a real objective that I have.
That's fantastic. I mean, it is. We've got so many great things. The parks system, and the bike trails. I mean, we've got just beautiful parks. I mean, you've got Bob Woodruff, you've got Arbor Hills. I mean, just landmarks that, people don't realize when in the real estate, when I have people come in and I'm showing them those aspects of the city, not just the housing, because we can find you a house. Well, maybe it's a little tougher in this marketplace, but you really need to know your city and know what is here and the other things. I mean, we've got such great city functions and, the pools that are, I mean, we just, the community pools that we have all around. I mean, Plano was established where it wasn't some of these, newer suburbs, they have, the HOAs are part of it, but they don't have as many as the big city pools that like Plano.
When you were talking about the parks, that's a real credit to the leadership in the 90s and early 2000s for making sure all the new developments had parks. There is a park throughout all of Plano that people can walk to.
Yeah.
And we have parks all across the city that have those same amenities. And that's a real credit to the leadership long time ago that said, no matter how much people want to come to Plano, they also want open space.
Yep.
And we have that. And it's really fabulous. I mean, it's great. And like you said, the trails are immense. And we're going to even improve that so that we can tie into trails that go into Dallas or that go over to Allen and places like that. So people will have miles and miles of trails to use.
That's great. And especially in, today's world and what we've just experienced over the last 12 months. And, people were using those, they were getting out, walking, I know we were going out at ours a lot and utilize those.
We were doing the same thing.
And so it's just, but we were able to enjoy that outdoor space and have that green space and not feel like we're in, kind of a, all this, structure. It was just beautiful green spaces.
Yeah.
So
exactly. It's a great environment now for that live, work, and play mantra that we all talk about.
We all talk about that.
Yeah.
And I think that's, and that's what people are looking for. And Plano has really, set that up. Dallas, I feel like Dallas has never really had a big landmark of a downtown like, your Chicago or your New York. But Plano has really turned into almost that aspect because of all the, big corporations moving there. And then you've got, places like Legacy West and Shops of Legacy and, all these other, venues, shopping and areas where people are hanging out after work and they're going to that. We may not have that, city, where you're walking all the time, like New York or Chicago, but we still do those. You see those people going in, and when the corporations were really working a lot, they would even have little systems to take their employees over to those places for lunch.
No, exactly. In fact, our downtown is expanding every day, and the restaurants in downtown are really fabulous.
Yeah.
And so it's not just Legacy West and Legacy Town Center, but it's, what's coming at Collin Creek and it's downtown Plano, and then up north in Vision Oak Point, and that's really where the remaining land is. And it's going to be a fabulous development over the next few years.
Nice. I mean, I think it's so nice to see the changings. We do have an adorable downtown that people, don't really, I don't think so much take advantage of. And it's revitalized, and there's great little restaurants and shops and everything to just pop in. And then we have the historic homes that are there.
And it's come a long way since you and I were talking about when we grew up here. It was just a flashing light that you passed through.
It was.
But now it's really a vibrant place to go and be entertainment and restaurants and you can live downtown. There's plenty of places to live in downtown. So it's really something to be proud of.
It is. And I think, we'll see now with things starting to open and events starting to happen. They were doing such great arts and walks and dinners on downtown and things like that. So we'll start to probably see those things come back into
Absolutely. It's going to happen soon.
So and that'll be an exciting thing for our city. Well, we've got so much. So I do want to go back and let's talk a little bit about the history. I think people don't really know all the history. And so let's talk some fun facts about the history of Plano. And, we've got we still have a lot of the founding families that are still, in Plano.
Yeah.
So let's just talk about that.
Well, so a lot of the founding families, their names are really all over our school system.
Right.
And a lot of their families are still in Plano.
Yep.
The Haggards, the Shapiros, the Muns. I'll go ahead and say the Muns.
Wells.
But the Wells and the Shells and people like that. And so that's really what makes the history so important to be mindful of and to make sure that we understand. I mean, the McCalls, I'm going to remember names and then regret that I didn't say somebody.
Well, don't worry, everyone. We have more.
But it's really a credit to them for making Plano what it is today. I mean, we can make sure that we preserve what was put there. But they had the foresight to really see what Plano could be.
Yeah.
And that's what me as a mayor want to maintain and make sure that city of excellence remains exactly that.
Yes. No, I think that really shows so much credit to our city, especially, again, I'm using my real estate when I have people come in and they see that. And that's not necessarily what you see in other cities. I mean, we'll be driving down Park and, there's the farm in the middle of everything else. And they're like, what? And, they start to see the names and then they recognize them when they're looking at, the different schools and everything. And so I just think that it just really is very impactful that, we still have them around.
No, it really is. And they still have a big impact on what we do, the decisions we make. Obviously, the Haggards still own quite a bit of property they're still farming on.
Yeah.
And again, it's not a lot left, but it's still there.
Yeah.
And so we've got to make sure that we are good stewards of what's left, and we're going to do that.
And like it is nice to see that, see the farming or go to the farm and see llamas
Oh, yeah.
or cows. I mean,
That's true.
it's just like I said, as a Victorian, it's always fun, to drive people down that, and they're like caught off guard because they're just not expecting it.
Right.
And of course, Plano isn't what you expect when you come to from another city to Texas. People think that we wear cowboy boots and cowboy hats, and I always feel like I'm gonna do a joke on a client and dress all like real Western wear.
Yeah.
But then they come and they're like, this city could be in the town that they're coming from.
Right.
And so it's just as such a more metropolitan. And
Yeah.
again, when we talk about metropolitan, we are a very melting pot.
No, we really are. We have a lot of diversity in Plano, and we consider that a strength.
Yes.
We really do. And we want to make sure that our diversity feels welcome, that the issues that they may have are addressed, and that we come up with decisions and solutions for them so they feel welcome in Plano. And I think that's one of the things I learned most during the campaign when I was running for mayor is just the far-reaching diversity that we have.
Right.
And they have concerns, and we need to be good listeners to their
definitely.
concerns.
No, like I said, I think that's an added strength for us because, and that's something I've seen evolve, over living in Plano is, going from maybe, it not as diverse to it being so diverse and that's a wonderful thing. It's, because, I would say it gives credit to the city and its growth because so many people have wanted to call that place,
Right.
The city of Plano, their home.
I think it's a credit to what we were just talking about, just the planners and the foresight, because people from all over the world choose Plano for all sorts of reasons,
Right.
but mainly because they feel a sense of community, they feel safe, they want to be involved in the community, and we want them to be.
Right.
And so I think that's really a credit to how we've created Plano in 2021.
And I definitely agree. And I think it's a credit to, if you went to, other towns across the nation, suburb towns, you wouldn't see such the diversity and such, the opportunities for everyone in other towns. I mean, you kind of, they're more very, I don't even know what the word I'm trying to find, but we're just more diverse. And I think that's why we're more of a metropolitan feeling city, but with a small town aspect. I always like that.
No question. We are truly an employment center with some of the big corporations that are in Plano. We also have a lot of small business, and we want to take care of them as well. But the employment center creates this demand to be close to their business, whatever it may be. And so that's been a real benefit to the growth in Plano.
Oh, yeah.
And we just want to make sure they stay here.
Right.
And so that may be the new challenge for me is to make sure that the businesses and the small businesses that are here, that we take care of them and we make sure that they're happy in Plano and we want them to stay.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk. So we are about to embark on runoffs for city elections all over the North Texas area.
Yeah, right.
And let's talk about the importance of, getting out and vote. Because a lot of people were like, oh, I've already voted. And they don't realize that this is a very important election.
No, it really is. May 1st, obviously, was election day.
Right.
And I was fortunate to win on May 1st because I had over 50% of the vote.
Okay.
And the two places that are in a runoff were two people that got the most votes, but neither of them got over that 50% threshold.
Right.
So that's why there's runoffs. And so we have June 5th is the election day,
Yeah.
although you can vote right now.
Yeah.
And it's really important to have a city council that has that same vision and that same hope for all of our citizens in Plano. And so I really encourage everyone to go vote between now and June 5th, because it's so important that you vote and make yourself a part of the community, because it's really important that we have a city council that represents everybody.
Definitely. And I think, this last 12 months, hopefully people have noticed that the last 12 months really impacted and really taught us that our city officials and our elected officials do more for us than, an aspect than our nation.
Yeah.
If you look at the cities as things were opening up, even throughout our North Texas area, cities were different by, it could be these rules in Plano and these rules in Dallas and these
true.
in, the Tarrant County cities. But it's so important to really get out there and, have your voice and vote for these, people that are out there doing the runoffs.
Yeah, I mean, this is tough to go all the way to May 1st and then be told you have to do this another 5 or 6 weeks.
Yes, it is.
I feel so bad, but these people are solid people that want to be a part of the solution in Plano. And until we really know who our council is, there's a lot of things that we're really kind of holding off until we get a full council, and then we can start really going to work in regards to our budget and our priorities and things like that.
Wow.
So, and second of all is the people that you want on council are people that have experience, that have been in part of Plano for a while, that know kind of the aspects of what the needs are and what our assets are. And so I think it's really important to know that before you go vote. And so do your work, make sure you know who you're voting for before you get there, but definitely go vote.
Definitely. So if you take anything away tonight or this afternoon, go vote. As if you haven't voted for your city election, whether it's in Plano or one of the other North Texas cities, get out there and vote.
Correct.
Well, thank you so much. It has been such a pleasure, and I am so honored that you are here today talking with me.
Well, it's a pleasure to be here. Thank you.
Well, cheers to the next 4 years.
Thank you.
Thanks for tuning in. If you'd like to contact Kimberly with your real estate needs, you can reach her at kimberlywoodard.ebby.com. We hope you enjoyed our guest this week, and remember, don't just love your home, love your community.